Hey everybody, this video comes from my monthly Ask Dr. David live YouTube event. Hope you find it helpful. Oh yes, so something that is in the news. How concerned should we be about the malaria that has been identified in Florida, and how can we test for it, and can it be treated? Okay, so you may have heard that that there have been several cases of malaria specifically identified in Sarasota County, and there has been also a case identified in Texas. Okay. Now, malaria is something that there are typically a couple thousand cases per year identified in America, but those are almost always people who are traveling in from the country and they catch it somewhere else. So the fact that we are finding any cases of malaria in America for people who have not traveled, and therefore that indicates that the mosquitoes are actually here and not there coming in with just in a person's blood, that certainly has some level of concern because this is not something that we typically see. Now, there's, so relative to mosquitoes themselves, that's where it's passed along. It's caught from a mosquito bite. And we know that there are ways that people can prevent or decrease the chance of catching malaria by avoiding bug bites in the first place. Okay. Now, mosquitoes are most commonly coming out in the earlier, like dusk to dawn types of situations, much more found in humid environments. So of course, that's why Florida, tropical medicine, etc., can be where you're most likely found. You don't typically see it up in the colder climates of the country or the world, for that matter. Now, of course, there are ways that we can prevent mosquito bites. Mosquitoes tend to gather, grow, breed in sitting water. Okay. And so therefore, if you do have an issue in your house, you may want to, if you have any potted plants, if that they're sitting in water, that could be just a breeding source for it, under sinks, more humid environments. So if there are any areas that have sitting water in your house or around your house, especially if you're keeping doors open, that is a primary thing. So avoiding the types of spaces that mosquitoes can grow in, that's the first thing. Now, when you're out and about, of course, we're all going to potentially be exposed to mosquitoes. And so wearing long sleeves, spraying, the DEET that is available. I know that there's a lot of people of concern in the holistic world, but it really is a percentage. So if you're using the lower percent types of products, it's not that much of an issue. Of course, you could spray it on your clothing if you don't want to spray it directly on your skin and for your kids, etc. But then there's also, there are also the pegaridin, which is derived from black pepper, which is a non-DEET substance that has been shown to be as effective as DEET in terms of something more natural that people can use. I have seen other essential oils, citronellas, eucalyptus oils, etc. They just haven't in studies really been proven to be reliable as the first two. So of course, avoiding a mosquito is important. Now, as far as malaria goes, how concerned we need to be, I don't think we need to be overly concerned right now. Now, if we hear of these growing and spreading and more people being found in Florida or elsewhere for that matter in the next few weeks, then I do think we need to take this a lot more seriously. But I don't think that we need to be changing our entire vacation plans or anything else based upon 4 cases. Okay. Now, malaria itself can cause people to get very sick. Okay. And that's why understanding that, there's not a particular rash like you'll see with Lyme disease or some of the other, bug-borne illnesses. Those are tick, obviously. But, you can start to see some general flu-like stuff, fever, aches, malaise, yucky, fatigue, that types of things. And then it just kind of progresses from there. Okay. Now, the issue is identification. Okay, because you may have seen that that the state of Florida did put out a formal warning. The Department of Health did put out a formal warning for doctors and people around the state to be aware of this. But while there is a developing, and I actually spoke with the Hillsborough County Health Department with an infectious disease doctor today, because there had been, if you look it up, they talk about rapid testing, saliva testing, but there's really not anything that's commercially available. But I do know that the Hillsborough County Health Department is working with Tampa General, and they are doing testing, comparing, people, to see how reliable the saliva test is, because if you can find rapid detection, and you start the treatments sooner. So there are medications that are available for this that are really quite effective. And so, so obviously if you can identify it sooner before it gets to more advanced stages, that is certainly an important thing. But as of right now, the only way to really be able to identify this parasite is through a blood smear. Okay, so a drop of blood is spread onto a microscope slide. So this has to be done in a medical facility like the health department or a hospital that has a more detailed lab. Over the counter, I'm sure outpatient labs I think can do this as well. But it's like a live blood smear. People in the holistic world have looked for other things, but that's how you find it right now. Okay. And of course, if it is found, then that's a concern. And of course, since this is done in a lab, such as, again, a state lab, etc., it's going to be reportable. So it's going to be known. But of course, we would want that because we really need to know whether or not this is something that is spreading. Okay. Now, why is there also a particular concern in my world? Because people under the age of 5 are more likely to get sick. Now, in countries where malaria is more common, you don't see sickness in older people because there's probably been some bites that have happened already, and there is some partial natural immunity, wild immunity that happens. But the other main issue is with pregnant women. Okay, because depending on when it gets, it can cause birth defects and other types of problems there. Now, there are several different medications out there. There is one, I forget the name of it, I apologize, that is considered safe during pregnancy. So if there is a concern about a pregnancy with a mosquito bite, or in the age of fertility where you don't know if you're pregnant yet, but a woman is of a fertility age, then knowing that there is one particular medicine that's out there. And again, I memorized it and I forgot it, sorry. But that there is something that is safe and effective to be used during pregnancy. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Again, I'm sure if more information comes out, I will be putting out more public health announcements myself, like a PSA, on the YouTube channel, on TikTok. So if you do have those concerns, you want to continue to follow, another reason to follow us, we'll let it be known. But as of now, again, just a few cases in Sarasota County, and that's what we're looking out for. If you like this video, please click on the link in the description below where you can see the entire episode. And if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, please do so, as well as join me on my other social media platforms. Have a great day.